We be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Meant something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go start season to go, and you know those crystal truth. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go, and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Start season to go, and you know those crystal children. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go, and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we on the mission. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the roads. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Welcome. You've come to stand on the leading edge of creation, the leading edge of your creation. To be the creators you were meant to be. You chose, your higher being chose to come in and play on Earth School's playground. Your higher being chose it. Whether we believe it or not, or are conscious of it or not, our higher beings decided to play on this playground and have fun. Now, they didn't know that they were going to have to sleep for a little while. They didn't know that they were going to have to be veiled for a little bit. And they certainly didn't know that the environment of third density was going to be inviting, enticing, enthralling, sometimes incapable, initiating, hard, crafty, difficult. It didn't know. It just was asked, do you want to go and play? And they said, yeah. And here we are, given the opportunity to dive into the unknown and make it known. To attune yourself to the creative impulses that thrive and dwell inside you. That impulse is called the divine, seeking expression of itself through, in, and as, say your name, you. Are you ready? Are you ready to deep dive into the unknown that's within you? to make a little bit more of it known today in this now moment. So I'm going to say I attune myself to the creative impulses that indwell and seek to expand in, through, and as me, Sandee, as I am, an open vessel to the divine, to channel, to teach, to inspire, to motivate, to edify and educate. I am here for you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Over to you, Marcus. Welcome in.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing and co-hosting another episode with me of Ascending Beyond Limitations. And hydration check for everybody out there. Clean water, clean water, living water if you can. And yeah, I'm just really grateful to be able to continue this journey in the raw material, as we are now on episode 20, or you can also say episode 3 of book 2 of the Raw Material Law of One. And wow, what a journey it's been. We have gone through so many different layers of existence and creation, and not just that, but also different figures and guides, ascended masters, and other beings that we see with a high light have been really opened up and brought into a different perspective for us of what they are and who they are, as well as their relationship to us as a unified collective field. And you know, it's been a major blessing, I have to say. It's definitely been a major blessing to be able to really sit and meditate upon this level of knowledge of self, and not just be able to do it, but like do it with another co-host, as well as have a wonderful and beautiful audience that tunes in every single time and comments, shares, connects. It's really beautiful, and I'm just really grateful, and I really look forward to what Ra has for us today.
Mm-hmm. What Ra has for us today. Ra is a 6 density complex energy, not just a being, but energy. Ra is a is the expression of the divine. Ra answered a call. It heard earth consciousness call upon it, them, they, all, energy, and it came. It's been here all this time, seeking itself through us. Ra is the wholeness, the divine, the essence of the all and the all that is not. Blows your mind when you say it that way, right? Well, think about it this way. While I was reading and getting guidance, the divine says the is not is what you would call the unmanifested or the unknown. Just because it's unknown doesn't mean it doesn't exist in some type of vibrational form. We just haven't seen it yet. We haven't felt it yet. We haven't embraced it yet. We haven't allowed it to embrace us. there's that word, allowance, allowing. So are you ready to deep dive? You take what resonates to you, for your highest and greatest good, and leave the energy of what you don't understand. Either you can leave it in a pocket of a place where the divine is going to help you understand it at a later moment when you're open to it, or leave it in the room without even bothering on judging it. So someone else can pick that energy up and free flow with it. Today, the divine and Ra was with me on another live that I did and gave me a perfect example of how it is to feel the flow of the divine. Surfers surf two ways. They paddle out until they feel or they can see the wave growing, and then they'll ride the top of the wave. But if a surfer is bold enough, it'll wait till that wave curls and it'll ride the underbelly of the wave. It'll feel the water flowing over it, flowing through him or her. It'll reach out and it'll touch all components of the water as it rides underneath that curl. It'll ride it all the way through. There's two infinite possibilities of riding a wave of energy for growth and for expansion. For the shift, there's a way to ride the shift. Some people shift, don't even know they're shifting. Nonetheless, they're shift. They don't know that they're expanding or growing. Nonetheless, they grow and expand. Some don't even know that they're evolving. Nonetheless, the divine says they evolve. And some know it from the time they are born. They can see the shift. They can feel the vibration of growth and expansion. They move through the evolution, seeing it just evolve around them and sit in awe of it. And then go back to one. So the divine asked me to ask you, who are you in that scenario? There are infinite scenarios, but these are two. Who are you? How do you embody you? How are you embodying this information? How did you embody the 20 episodes of Raw, the first book? And who are you bringing now for book 2? Right? When we left off, it was about angels. It was about the spiritual makeup, spiritual meaning energy makeup of angels or higher beings or whatnot. That their social memory complexes, they have a higher vibrational light. Nonetheless, they dare to dive in to the density to be with us. To be with us on the journey, even if we never acknowledge them. Even if we never actually give them the okay to interact in our life, they are there for the sole purpose of helping us to grow and to expand, to shift, and to evolve. This is Ra. This is Abraham Hicks. This is the Archangel Michael. These are all our deities that we call upon to help us expand and grow. And they're there regardless of whether we utilize them or not. So what Ross said to me was, angels are higher density beings who inhabit light bodies. We call them ghosts or spirits. They are electromagnetic, or we call it light bodies, or we call them ghosts or spirits, or hey, even aliens. Those things that you see out the side of your eye that you can't explain. But the divine gave you the power to see them because you see them. You just can't explain them. So today is about slowing our roll and acknowledging everything that we see that is not seen by our physical aspect of our ego. Jumping into the unknown and allowing it to be known even though it does not make sense to our egoic unconscious system. Are you ready? I know I am. Here we go. The questioner says, can you give me examples of catalytic action from the last section, beginning with the self unmanifested, producing learning catalyst? What does that mean? That just means it's about something that you can't make sense of, but it exists. Something, catalytic means it's starting something. It's moving something. Think of catalyst. Catalyst moves something. You don't even know why the catalyst happens, but it happens and then it moves something and then something else moves something that all of a sudden the wheels turn and life begins in a certain fashion. Usually think of yourself as, I don't know why life is always against me. There's a reason why you say that, because there is a certain amount of energy happening around you that moves stuff to happen and you can't make sense of it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You might not have gained that from what was said here. But if you gain something from what is said, hold on to it and then discern it. So the questioner says, in the last session, beginning with the self unmanifested producing learning catalyst, Ra says, I am Ra. We observed your interest in the catalyst of pain. So that's what they were talking about in the previous, when we left off. This experience is most common among your entities. The pain may be of the physical complex. More often, it is the mental and emotional complex. In some few cases, the pain is spiritual in complex nature. That means that the spiritual, your soul is trying to figure it. Your soul is looking for an answer from you on why you have the pain, why it's feeling it. You know, it can feel and have emotion about it, but it doesn't understand the feeling and the emotion because it's waiting for you to explain it. It's waiting for you to sit down and have a conversation with it. What about this pain don't you like? Why don't you like pain? How did the pain get there? Why is it happening to you? It's experiencing the form. It's never experienced form in this fashion, in this area of the cosmos. The cosmos meaning the area of the unknown, of the divine, seeking itself. So it's looking for an answer. But if you haven't given it an answer, if you haven't sat at the seat of your soul and explained to yourself, your higher being, what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, then what's going to happen is you're going to take it and put bubble wrap on it, submerge it underneath a Mack truck, and then you're just going to keep doing that with pain because, hey, people have told you don't feel any pain. But your higher being is still feeling your pain. It's not that it is making its own pain. It's feeling what you're feeling. It's having an emotion about your pain. But it's looking for explanation. That's why it's complex nature, because it comes from the realm that pain, that feeling and the emotion doesn't exist from the realm that it came from. So it's come to learn what everything it's feeling in form is why it's happening, what it's doing to you. How are we going to change it? How are we going to transmute it? How are we going to alchemize it? It knows how to do all that stuff, but it needs your input. Okay? Ra goes on to say, in some few cases, the pain is spiritual in complex nature. This creates a potential for learning. It wants to learn. Just everything I just said before I read the next sentence. Remember, I am reading this book with you, and the divine is moving in, through, and as me to share, to teach, to edify. The lessons to be learned vary. There are many reasons why humans go through pain. Why the higher being or the soul is going through this lesson. There's infinite possibilities and infinite reasons. No two people share pain the same way. No two people have the same emotions about the pain that they're feeling the same way. The lessons to be learned vary. Almost always these lessons include, and this is the vibration through the words that we know: patience, tolerance, the ability for the light touch. Very often the catalyst for emotional pain, whether it be the death of the physical complex of one another's self, which is love, or others seemingly lost. Did you get that? You can either lose another self. Did you get that? When I look at Marcus, that's my other self. If I was to lose Marcus as a friend, if he was to leave this earth early, I would feel pain. And my higher soul, my higher being would want to know, what is this? What was the catalyst that caused this? It's a learning time for my soul. Does that help with the example? Right? Ra goes on to say, seemingly loss will simply result in the opposite, in a bitterness or an impatient or a souring. It means that the divine gets to feel both your joy in the pain of birth, or your unhappiness in the pain of death. Wow. Right? Ra goes on to say, this is catalyst, and that's the way they say it. This is catalyst which has gone awry. We've taken it. It was brought out for purpose, and we've taken it. Are you going to hear what and we've soured it. It's just a moment to the divine. It's a feeling to us, and it's an emotion about the feeling. And then we were supposed to feel it, surrender it, let it go and let it flow, and then go on to the next lesson. But that's not how things happen. But it's okay. It's still an experience. Ra says, in these cases, then, there will be additional catalysts provided to offer the unmanifested self further opportunity for discovering the self as the all-sufficient creator containing all that there is and full of joy. All that there is and full of joy. That you can, it's kind of like this. Our chakra center, our center of energy, flows counterclockwise. You are the point of existence in that energy. Life goes out and 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 back to one. Right? And back to one. As human beings, we don't do that. Sometimes. Not all human beings, but as human beings, we kind of stay very self-centered and very close to this, and we live out and out and out. We have a hiccup, and then we go back to one. And we bring the hiccup with us. Right? Welcome, Divine Words Official. We come back to one. And we bring everything with us. Right? But we do it bringing the divine with us, because the divine moves in, through, and at us in all areas. We're not doing it alone. And the divine isn't like a mommy and daddy that spanks us every time we do something wrong or puts us on a timeout. The divine just says, let it be so. It has other areas of it saying, really? We did that? And the divine says, don't worry about it. Really? Other areas and other facets of the universe or the cosmos, there's other higher beings that are the divine, tuned in, tapped into us, going, really? And the divine says, no worries. They'll figure it out. I love listening to my higher being and my ego have a conversation, and me being that fly on the wall, listening to them talk about me. Listening to my higher being saying, she's got this, and my ego saying, no, I gotta protect her. I've got something in her subconscious that we've done before that I think I can give her. And my higher being is saying, nope, she got this. Sometimes I got it, sometimes I don't. But that's okay. The catalyst happens. The learning happens. Sometimes it stays with me for a while. And sometimes I get it like that. Back to you, Marcus.
Boom. Mm. Mm. Thank you for reading that, and thank you for your wisdom. Always a wonderful wellspring. Thank you.
Thank you, Divine. Thank you.
Okay. So, I have the Kabbalion here, the Hermetic philosophy. And I know you were bringing up how we were talking about the angels, light body beings, and other things as well. So that brings me to the Kabbalion here at the plane of correspondence, which is one of the Hermetic principles. The plane of correspondence is basically, to just summarize it, it is the law or the principle of the universe that shares with us that everything has a correspondence. Everything is connected, and there are multiple different parallel planes of existence, all taking place simultaneously. So with that being said, as you go further into it, it then starts breaking it down into the different planes within the planes. And that gives you fine detail of the minor planes within those planes. So as we adventure into the plane of correspondence, where I want to pick up is where it starts talking about the minor planes of the spiritual plane. So it's the spiritual plane, but the minor planes within that spiritual plane. Just as there is a mental plane, emotional plane, and a physical plane. So all that we can say is that the 7 minor planes of the great spiritual plane, each minor plane having its 7 subdivisions, comprise beings possessing life, mind, and form, as far above that of man of today, as the latter is above the earth, mineral, or even certain forms of energy or matter. The life of these beings so far transcends ours, that we cannot even think of the details of the same. Their minds so far transcend ours that to them we scarcely seem to think, and our mental processes seem almost akin to material processes. The matter of which their forms are composed is of the highest planes of matter. Some are even said to be clothed in pure energy, quote unquote. What may be said of such beings? On the 7 minor planes of the great spiritual plane existence for beings, of whom we may speak as angels, archangels, or demigods. On the lower minor planes dwell those great souls whom we call masters and adepts. Above them come the great hierarchies of the angelic hosts, unthinkable to man. And above those come those who may, without a reverence? I have never seen that before. I've seen reverence, but I've never seen a reverence with the IR in front of it. Okay. So, and above those come those who may, without irreverence, be called, quote unquote, the gods. So high in the scale of being are they, their being, intelligence, and powerful being akin to those attributed by the races of man to their conceptions of deity. These beings are beyond even the highest flights of the human imagination, the word divine being the only one applicable to them. Many of these beings, as well as the angelic host, take the greatest interest in the affairs of the universe and play an important part in its affairs. These unseen angelic helpers extend their influence freely and powerfully in the process of evolution and cosmic progress. Their occasional intervention and assistance in human affairs have led to the many legends, beliefs, religions, and traditions of the race, past and present. They have superimposed their knowledge and power upon the world again and again, all under the law of the all, of course. But yet, even the highest of these advanced beings exist merely as creations of and in the mind of the all, and are subject to the cosmic processes and universal laws. They are still mortal. We may call them gods, quote unquote, if we like, but still, they are but the elder brethren of the race, the advanced souls who have outstripped their brethren and who have foregone the ecstasy of absorption by the all, in order to help the race on its upward journey along the path. But they belong to the universe and are subject to its conditions. They are mortal, and their plane is below that of absolute spirit. Only the most advanced Hermetics are able to grasp the inner teachings regarding the state of existence and the powers manifested on the spiritual planes. The phenomena is so much higher than that of the mental planes that a confusion of ideas would surely result from an attempt to describe the same. Only those whose minds have been carefully trained along the lines of the Hermetic philosophy for years, yes, those who have brought with them from other incarnations the knowledge acquired previously, can comprehend just what is meant by the teaching regarding these spiritual planes. And much of the inner teachings is held by the Hermetics as being too sacred, important, and even dangerous for general public dissemination. The intelligent student may recognize what we mean by this when we state the meaning of spirit, quote unquote, as used by the Hermetics, is akin to living power, animated force, inner essence, essence of life, which means it must not be confounded with that usually and commonly employed in connection with the term religious, ethereal, holy. To the occultist, the word spirit is used in the sense of the animating principle, carrying with it the idea of power, living energy, mystic force. And occultists know that that which is known to them as spiritual power may be employed for evil, as well as good ends. A fact that which has been recognized by the majority of religions in their conceptions of Satan, Baal Deval, the devil, Lucifer, fallen angels, and so the knowledge regarding these planes have been kept in the Holy of Holies, in the esoteric and occult orders, in the secret chamber of the temple. But this may be said here that those who have attained high spiritual powers and have misused them have a terrible fate in store for them in the swing of the pendulum of the law of rhythm, will inevitably swing them back to the farthest extreme of material existence, from which point they must practice their steps spiritward along the weary rounds of the path, but always with the added torture of having always with them a lingering memory of the heights from which they fell. Owing to their evil actions, the legend of the fallen angels have a basis in actual facts. As all advanced occultists know, the striving for selfish power on the spiritual planes inevitably results in the selfish soul losing its spiritual balance and falling back as far as it had previously then. But to even such a soul, the opportunity of a return is given, and such souls make the return journey, paying the penalty according to the inevitable law. Ooh. Wow. I'm sweating after that one. Back to you.
I know that you guys have just put into your human thought patterns that, oh, souls must be condemned and that they're going to go to hell. The divine just said, you guys, souls get to do it over and over and over. They get to make the choice over and over and over. The penalty that we think is being thrown or cast into the sea of hell and whatnot is that they get to do the deed over if they so choose. Ross said that a soul has a choice when it comes into this experience. Ross says it gets to choose between the positive polarity and the negative polarity. Positive polarity being service to others or service to all, or the negative polarity being service to self at all cost of anybody. We've met people like that. What blew my mind is last week, the divine finally, I had a breakthrough, and that service to others doesn't mean I put myself last. Service to others means that I'm included in wholeness. Service to others is vibrationally breaking others down to mean the wholeness of all that is. And service to self means the separation, to allow yourself to stay in the separation of not being whole, not moving into the wholeness, being separate from. Whoa, right? But these souls get to choose that. And here's the part, is they get to choose this knowing that they have to adhere to your free will if they want to do this in a body. So a lot of souls, from what Ross says, is a lot of them, they travel up the polarity as they move up, and they choose the negative polarity. But here's the thing. If they don't come back and do a human birth, they become, as consciousness, the entities that we serve. If we want a devil, that soul that chooses service to self only can only incarnate in consciousness in those areas, because it still has to serve. Whoa, right? Now, if it takes a human incarnation, it runs the risk that the higher beings that have taken on human incarnations will see them. Will see that they are these souls that are choosing to the lower polarities at all costs to anyone. They can't go unnoticed. Those are the universal laws that the divine put up. And that eventually they do have to move up the polarity and merge back with the divine. They will. In order to merge back with the divine, it has to flow in the service to all, which is the law of one. Blows you away. I bet you'll never look at Trump again. You'll look at him differently. You definitely will. You'll look at Biden differently. You'll look at every person that you've made judgment on based on how your feeling or your emotion about them. That they're higher being, is making a choice. And if their body and mind are going with that in attendance, guess what? This is the experience. They're going to do service to self at all costs to everybody else. And those beings that came along to play with them on the earth's playground, in the playground area called the political arena, they're going to play it until either as such time as either people decide to move away from the playground and not play anymore, or something cataclysmic changes their story. Or not. That blew me away. It just is. And then those beings that you think that are separate from God, that are the devil is in opposition with God, that's God feeling itself being the devil. Whoa, right? Blew me away. And then the divine told me they can do that. And it's okay, because why? It's an experience. It's an experience. So Ross says, when very often the catalyst for emotional pain, and I think I'm reading this again, but the divine wants me to start there, whether it be the death of the physical complex of one other self, and remember I told you Marcus and I are both other selves of each other, right? Which is loved or others seemingly lost, right? Will simply result in the opposite, or in a bitterness or impatience of souring. Could be either or. This is catalyst which has gone awry. But still again, Ross says it's gone awry is still an experience. In these cases, there will be the additional catalyst provided to offer the unmanifested self further opportunities for discovering the self as it will give us opportunity to feel ourselves as the creator. Doesn't matter whether you believe in a devil, you will still have the opportunity to believe yourself as the creator. Believing in blows me away, the devil. Not bad or good, just an expression. But bad or good for us because we get to have the feeling or the emotion about it. Complex? Hell yes. We are complex beings. Hell to the yes to that. Right? The questioner asks, do what we call, okay, he's jumping into another part of this. He says, do what we call contagious diseases play any part in this process with respect to the unmanifested self? Oh shit. He just took it there. Ra says, I am Ra. These so-called contagious diseases are those entities of second did you hear that? He called diseases those entities of second density which offer an opportunity for this type of catalyst. If you're going into that process of feeling a headache, it's an expression of something within your body, an entity within you that's expressing a headache based on a catalyst that has has rubbed it, up against the quantum field of creation. Okay, the quantum field of creation, and because there is something that you can't understand about your body, it's not. Your body is reacting to a situation or circumstance or whatnot, and it's rubbing up against that. It's creating the entity within you. Is creating the headache. Okay, here's the deal. If you didn't mention the headache at all, I'm just going to go. If you didn't say, I have a headache, I'm getting a headache. If you just went to the medicine cabinet without even thinking anything about it, without saying anything about it, just took an Excedrin and just went on about your day, that entity that was Excedrin, yeah, consciousness is medicine. The download of that consciousness is everything that we are creating. Consciousness will be that Excedrin that you take, and all of a sudden it's just gone. It's not given a vibration to grow. The entity that wants to become that headache within you can't propagate. Oh shit. I don't even remember myself knowing how to say the word propagate. This is divine. The divine is telling you everything in our experience is consciousness. How can it not be? There would not be a way to create any of the medicines that mankind has created if it was not there to create. How mankind uses it, that's a totally different thing. If mankind used it to create or to cure people, but mankind didn't. But it could not be there unless it was the entity or the consciousness that could be medicine in any form, natural or otherwise. But if you just took it, the headache that I had a couple of days ago stayed with me. Why? Because the divine had to really sit with me and go, because you mentioned it, Sandee. You did. I told Marcus I couldn't do this because I had a headache coming on. I said I told somebody else. Well, I told somebody else I wasn't feeling quite myself, but still, nonetheless, I was focused on it. So it flourished. And then the divine, kind of schooled me. But my ego said, no, but she needed to tell somebody that she wasn't feeling good. And my higher being said, no, she didn't. Told my ego, back up a minute. And then asked me, well, what do you want? I said, well, all I want to do is I want to heal. Well, then that's what you should have. And my higher being got a mouth like I got. That's what you should have fucking did from the first place. Right? So these so-called contagious diseases are those entities of second density which offer an opportunity for this type of catalyst. It's a catalyst of learning. COVID was a catalyst of learning for everybody, not just the ones that stayed healthy through it. It was a learning for people who lost loved ones. It was learning. It was a catalyst. It happened because somebody did something somewhere and it happened. And then the catalyst said, I'm listening. And it listened to everyone, not just certain people, not just the rich people who wanted, to control the situation, to everyone who had a thought about it, everyone who had say about it, everyone who had this to say, naysayers to say about it, yay-sayers to say about it. It listened. And then the catalyst did what? It propagated. What does propagate mean? It grew, it expanded, it evolved. I hope somebody's recording me, because the word propagations and all of this, I haven't really spoke upon it, and the divine is utilizing it through me. Come on. Right? So Ross says, if this catalyst is unneeded, then these second density creatures, as you would call them, do not have effect. They wouldn't have effect if you didn't call on them. You must have needed them. It's hard to believe that somebody would call on cancer. Right? It is. It really is, because death is it's a catalyst that it hurts like all hell. I'm going to tell you, when my mother died, she just died. She fell asleep. She died in her sleep. She didn't have pain, or she didn't have cancer. She didn't have anything, but it hurt nonetheless. The pain was there for me. The pain was there for her children, people who loved her in her church. Do you know what I mean? But something was called upon. Something answered the call for her or for the situation. A catalyst was listening. Ra calls it a second density catalyst. You know what second density is? Second density is trees and microscopic organisms and flowers and bees, and that's what it is. The creation of beingness. Third density is us. So second density is within us, because we've got all these organisms in our gut that are microscopic bugs. They're there for a reason. They're called to do a service. And when you're out of alignment, they do a service there too. When you're out of alignment, sometimes you can be out of alignment because you're just not doing what you need to do. You're not drinking water. You're drinking more soda pop than water. You're like sometimes I drink more coffee. Then when I take a scan of my body and my body starts talking to me, the catalytic converter starts like getting noisy. I have to do a scan of myself. Oh shit. I only drank 1 glass of water and I had 3 cups of coffee. Oh, okay. It's the microbics in my bladder are talking to me. Second density in my body is talking to me. The consciousnesses that are the microbes in your body are the catalytic converter. I didn't know anything about a catalytic converter until I started driving my 1979 Camaro Z28 back in 1979. but we got one in our body. Right? Ross says, if this catalyst is unneeded, then these second density creatures, as you would call them, do not have an effect. So scan yourself. Why are they here now? Why are they? What? Ask yourself about the effect. Why are they here? Why are they showing up? It doesn't mean to blame yourself for diseases that you have. Take it the opposite way. Oh, I did this to myself. No, scan you. Find out why your body found the catalyst that is keeping you sick or ill. Maybe you've been talking about generational curses so much that you brought it upon yourself. Well, my mother had cancer, and my father had this, and my great uncle Jim had this. But it doesn't mean that it's part of you unless you speak it into existence. Maybe. Doesn't mean it might be generational. It might be that all this time, everybody around you is always talking about their problems and their generational curses, and you took it upon yourself to start thinking too much about yourself and bringing that up for you when that wasn't even the case. But the catalyst was listening. So many infinite possibilities of how your catalyst is listening. But Ross says, if it's unneeded, if you don't call it forth and give it a job to do, it's not going to do anything. Back to you, Marcus.
Woo-wee. I'd like to take a moment to allow us to pause and bring ourselves to center, ground ourselves a little bit as well, just to allow a little bit of processing for the level of knowledge and wisdom that has been passed on from this last segment, as I'm sure there may be some things that we are deeply thinking about right now and reflecting on within our mind and within our emotions. And yeah, I just invite you, everybody that's live right now, tapped in, if you want to get comfortable, consider lay down for the practice, or you can be standing if you have to. And we're just going to do some very basic breath movements. And with that breath movement, we're going to ground. And we're also just going to clear out anything that could be causing resistance. Very simple practice. You guys can do this at home at any time with anybody, your loved ones, your children. So we'll just begin with our posture. And if we're sitting, having our back straight as much as we can. If you have any physical ailments, just do what you can to the best of your ability. Use a pillow, couch as your bed, whatever you may need. And then if you're laying down, having your legs straight and not crossed so that your energy may flow through your legs. Then checking in with our shoulders, making sure that our shoulders are nice and relaxed, drop to the side. Checking in with the toes, making sure we're not curling our toes and they're flat. And then lastly, checking in with the jaw, making sure that we are not clenching our teeth. Now focusing on the breath. As we focus on the breath, breathing in through the nose, drawing that breath all the way down the body. And as we draw it down the body, we're feeling and consciously connecting with the breath as a cleansing and a lightening force flowing down the body to the earth with every breath that we breathe in. Just patiently guiding it and connecting with the breath as it moves through the body to the earth. And then bringing it back up the body and releasing out of the mouth. Just continuing to stay with this breath pattern, breathing in through the nose, drawing it down to the earth, cycling it up, and releasing out of the mouth. You may do this at any pace, any rate that you feel comfortable, authentically. As we continue to breathe, if there's anything cluttering our mind, if there's a lot of energy to process, any tension in the mind, we may navigate it down with the breath into the earth to be fertilized with the mother as she so gratefully takes on your stresses and worries, as she spreads and uses it as fertilizer for the planetary grid, turning it into wisdom. And this wisdom begins to travel up the earth. And with this wisdom comes the nurturing, the unconditional love, and the abundance of the mother. It makes its way up the legs, through the feet, entering at the little portals or gateway chakras at the feet, feeling the stimulation, the electric, mother, flow up the legs and up the hips, and making its way to the root chakra at the base, feeling the electric and the nurturing, the unconditional love of the mother, make its way up the root chakra, the sacral, remembering to stay with the breath as we continue to lighten our being, up the solar plexus, to the heart center, up the higher heart, into the throat. Pure divine wisdom and mother love flows up the face to the ears, clears out, tickles the ears, makes its way to the third eye in the center of the brows. And as we breathe, this purifying mother energy makes its way to the crown at the top of the head, beginning to open 1,000-petal violet lotus at the top of the head. The mother's energy begins to fountain and waterfall out of the 1,000-petal lotus at the crown and begins to fill our whole electromagnetic field, our aura, all the way at the bottom of the bubble. It just begins to fill and fill and fill. This cosmic mother energy wrapping us in an egg of her warmth and love and fertile energy. Allow this to just flow and seep through your being, through your cells and your pores, through your blood, tissue, muscles, and bones. Just allowing it to be. Doesn't matter what we had going on before this, after this. Let go of any story. Let go of any pain that you believe you're carrying right now. Anything that is outside of harmony and balance, just let it go. And just continue to breathe with it and breathe it out with the mother. Accept harmony, accept balance, wholeness, remembering that you are complete, you are whole, you are all that is, experiencing through a container, and through that container you have different attributes, characteristics that you experience, but those attributes and characteristics are not who you are. They're attributes and characteristics that you are experiencing, being as. May we remember this. I am. And when we're ready, making our way to our physical avatar, returning to your physical environment, opening your eyes, moving your body as needed. Wow. I didn't expect all that.
Hamoko Achiana. Paku Ate Senda Toku Ante here. The questioner asked, can you give me the same type of information about the self in relationship or in relation to societal self? I am Ra. The unmanifested self may find its lessons, those which develop any of the energy influx centers of the mind, body, and spirit complex. The societal and self interactions most often concentrate upon the second and third energy centers. Thus, those most active in attempting to remake or alter the society are those working from feelings of being correct personally or having answers which will put power in a more correct configuration. Ross says, this may seem to be a full travel from negative to positive in orientation. Either will activate these energy ray centers. There are some few who desire to aid society are of a green ray nature or above. These entities, however, are few due to the understanding that we may say, or that we say of the fourth ray, that universal love freely given is more to the desired than principality, or even the rearrangement of people or political structures. So we're trying to change things, but Roger says, go within and find out why you're trying to change them. Are you trying to change society because you want to change it to fit your right, or is it through unconditional love? And you say, Sandee, is it as simple as that? Go sit at the seat of your soul and ask your divine, the divine that flows within you. That same divine that is speaking to Ra, and Ra is channeling through this entity that got this book written. Could it be as simple as change will occur through unconditional love, as opposed to service to self only? I want to see it change because it's uncomfortable to me. I don't care how it feels for anybody else, but I want to change because it's uncomfortable to me. Not to say that it cannot be done. The divine says this is an experience. You can experience that. But what the divine is saying through Ra, if you really want to see change, then change it through unconditional love, the law of one, the law of love. You have that too. You were born with it. Wow, the divine is really talking today. He's talking about consciousnesses that are illnesses. He's talking about how to change society. And come on, people. Is he not saying that we're changing society through whether it fits us or not? Because Ra's talking about a lot of like and dislike. There are those that say, I don't like Trump. There are those that say, I like Trump. There are those that say, I don't like Biden. There are those that say, I like Biden. Then throw in Kamala Harris. Do you see where we're going? But is the change because we want unconditional love for everyone? So we want the highest and greatest good of society to work for everyone. And is maybe the answer to opt out of the whole program and change it that way? Why not? Ross says with societal, you have to, as the one that's part of society, what is your reasoning? If you want to see peace in the Middle East, then be the peace that you want to see here and now, so the universe can see the peace and then open up you seeing more peace until finally you do see peace in the Middle East. Maybe. Maybe not. If it's about a catalyst that's moving, you're the catalyst. If it's about having a catalytic converter, you're it. Maybe. That's my higher being saying maybe, because the situation, the circumstance is there's infinite possibility. What are you choosing? Infinite possibility means you've chosen something. The catalyst is listening to us. The catalytic converter is about to charge up, about the energy is about to gear up. What is it? I only use politics because that's what's going on right now. And that's what I think everybody kind of seems to understand right now. That you are a powerful catalytic converter. You're a catalyst that is part of the change, part of the energy of that. Why do you want to change it? Embody it. Show the universe what you really want or don't want. Yeah, I said don't want, because a lot of us spend a lot of time on energetically not wanting something that the universe gives us more of what we don't want. And we haven't gotten that it's because that energy is propelling the catalyst to give us more, good or bad, right? So then the questioner asks, if an entity were to be strongly biased towards positive societal effects, what would this do to his yellow ray in the aura, as opposed to an entity who wanted to create an empire of society and govern it from or with an iron fist? So basically, he's just saying, if society wanted to create from the heart, or a society, or somebody wanted to create with an iron fist, bypass the heart altogether and just use the other, hey, we're going to use our common sense. We're going to we might tap into our intuition, but we probably don't need that. We'll just figure out wisdom and understanding, and we'll rule it without the heart. That's the question. What if we do that? Ra says, I am Ra. Let us take two such positively oriented active souls, no longer in your physical time and space. Oh no, who's he going to talk about? Ready? The one known as Albert went into a strange and to it a barbaric society in order, the divine is telling me to slow my roll because I'm too excited. All right, I'm going to slow my roll. I'm going to take some water. I'm going to slow. Ra says, the one known as Albert went into a strange and to it, take the comma, a barbaric society in order that it might heal. Period. Okay. This is the way they're talking. I know sometimes it doesn't make sense when we speak in complete sentences. Okay. Ross said this entity was able to mobilize great amounts of energy and great amounts of energy and what you call money. This entity spent much great green ray energy both as a healer and as a lover of your instrument known as the organ. This entity's yellow ray was bright and crystallized by the efforts needed to procure the funds to promulgate. It's not propagate, but this is a different word. I'm going to spell it for you. PROMULGATE. Its efforts. However, the green and blue ray were of the towering, brilliant nature as well. The higher levels, as you would call them, being activated, and the lower, as you may call them, energy points remaining in a balance, being quite bright. The other example is the entity Martin. This entity dealt in great degree with rather negative orange ray and yellow ray vibratory patterns. However, this entity was able to keep open the green ray energy and do the severity of its testing. If anything, this entity may be seen to have polarized more towards the positive due to its fidelity, service to others in the face of great catalysts. Then the questioner says, could you give me the last names of Albert and Martin? Are you ready, guys? Ra says, I am Ra. These entities are known to you as Albert Schweitzer and Martin Luther King. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So people want to change society. But sometimes you got to go within to find out why you want to change society. Some people want to change society because it profits them. And all it is about money. Some people want to change society because they love to help people. And they come from unconditional love. Either way, society changes. That's what the divine wants you to know. Either way, it changes. It's a catalyst. Within you is a catalyst. You are a creator. Matter of fact, the divine is telling me, tell them they're powerful creator. Not just a creator. Regardless of whether you use it for selfish reasons or unconditional love reasons, you're powerful. And the universe is going to move when you use your power. It makes no decisions for you. This is what Ra is saying. Nothing can step in your way of your free will except you. Life is not happening to you. It's happening because of you. I know that hurts. When I was doing my radiation treatments way back when, I remember I had one statement. Why is this happening to me? And I remember hearing, and back then I didn't know the word higher being, but I remember hearing this light voice, and I thought it was like my mother's voice saying, learn the lesson and then move away from it. And I had to go, what's my lesson? And that small voice, I know it was my mother's voice, was saying, ask what you're fearing. And actually had to sit through it and go, yeah, I'm fucking scared. But I'm raising teenage kids. I can't let them know that I'm scared. But my teenage kids were driving me to and from my radiation treatments and whatnot. But I found things to laugh about. I found things to be joyous about. You know, this whole thing, simply because I didn't want them to see me be afraid. And then that voice said, well, stop being afraid. If you want it to go away, stop being afraid. I didn't understand it then. I understand it now. I'm a powerful creator. I created that moment of healing. But I can also be a powerful creator to create the moment of it propagating into more disease, more pain. Now, I'm not saying that all those people that are sick, they're doing this to themselves. I'm not saying that. I'm saying once you learn how you can be a creator, those in this room, you can help with unconditional love. Go share it with other people, whether they receive it or not. That's not your job. Your job is just to give a seed and do it with unconditional love, and hope they plant it. Plant and just hope that they plant it. That's all that Martin Luther King ever did. With unconditional love, he had to go and he had to share the message, but he couldn't make people receive it. And he certainly wasn't going to stop because certain people didn't like the message and they were going to threaten his life. If he stayed in his house, he would never get his message out. JFK was the same way. It doesn't matter whether they were black or white. It doesn't matter whether they were rich or poor. What matters is they did things, or at least expressed things, from unconditional love, from their heart chakra. But the same way is there are other people that are making a change in society that think that they are doing it for the highest and greatest good, and they're doing it for the highest and greatest good of self. The divine doesn't say, oh, that's not going to work. We're just going to block that and, put them on a timeout. That's not how that works. It's energy that has to serve. So if you see this in others, then what happens, you can't change them, but you can definitely sit with yourself and say, well, why do I want this to change? It's not about judging yourself. It's about discerning yourself. It's about doing exactly what we did in meditation right now, scanning your body, scanning you. That's all Ra wants you to do. Back to you, Marcus. Hydrate, people. Whew. Ooh. Ooh.
It's just so interesting to to think about what vibration or what frequency or what center you're acting out of, or which way you're putting your energy out of, because it then becomes very, very more detailed in your awareness of how something's happening or why something is happening. And I mean, you can see examples of this as well with, say, you meet someone of the opposite sex and then you have an attraction towards them. And then, there's multiple different chakras, so to say, that you could, or rays of light that you could, act out of towards that female or towards that male. And you think about, you can act out of your sacral chakra, but of course there's certain degrees to each chakra and each ray as well. So you could act out of an overactive extreme of the orange ray, the sacral, and then you become kind of predatory like in that type of nature and very lustful. Or you can be acting out of the heart chakra, where you can literally feel that you don't feel your energy being overactive down the sacral, sitting next to that person, standing next to them, things like that. Instead, you can feel you're more centered in your energy of how you're connecting with that individual, and you can feel your energy focus is more in this area. That's at least what I observe, what I'm conscious of, what centers or what frequencies of myself I am acting or connecting with that person with. And then it's the same with the third eye as well, and the crown. You know, we have these beautiful intimate practices with our partners or whoever else, you know, where we put our forehead against each other. We're placing our third eye centers into connection, and then connecting the third eye centers. So yeah, it's really interesting and intriguing to think about that type of multidimensionality of ourselves in our everyday interactions, and how we can become more aware of that and be able to really maneuver and guide our energy and focus into different centers and different frequencies of where we intentionally want to be putting our frequencies out or receiving frequencies. And yeah, all this is really just, you know, it's take it or leave it, of course, but just know that with all of this, if you choose to integrate it, you're able to tap into different elements and different details of yourself that you can then become conscious and aware of. And with that consciousness and awareness, you're able to bring more change to that, or you're able to utilize that energy in a conscious fashion. And with that being said too, you can also explore more of yourself, as in you can allow yourself to be more fluid in experiencing the different dimensions of who you are, rather than, you know, like a more finite or one-dimensional being, which there is no right or wrong to that. But what I'm trying to invite you to is the exploration and the fun, the joy of being able to explore the multidimensionalness of who we are, and what can be a very mundane world at times that can cause feelings of depression, anxiety, and all these other things. And, you know, I really, you know, the message coming through with what I've shared is remembering, you know, really how connected we are to all that is, and remembering as well that no matter how alone you feel, you have a multitude of living organisms and beings that make up your avatar, that make up your human being that you can interact with. You have a whole entire mental plane of consciousness to interact with. You have an emotional plane as well to interact with. You have guides. As we have gone through in this reading, there are light body beings such as archangels, family members, guides that we can connect with in any moment. And there are all sorts of different rays of energy and rays of light to connect with. So, you know, thank you to Ra. Thank you to Ra for just being what Ra is for us. And thank you to the team as well. You know, it's pretty amazing, pretty beautiful that there's a team of wonderful human beings that allow themselves to really to organize and create such a container for us to be able to process this in these human forms. It's a lot to be grateful for, you know, a lot to be grateful for. And as much as there is whirlwinds happening in the world, there's also a silver lining of great peace that you can access. And that great peace is, cutting that cord, letting go of the attachment, of feeling like we are bound to the world, or that we are obligated to live by the standards of the world around us, or others even. But just to remember that we are all just so divine, we are all so eternal, that no matter what we do, no matter what we choose, we'll still have opportunities of what you can call redemption, mercy, whatever you like to term it as,
Grace. Yeah.
grace.
Yeah.
And with that, it's just really, I try to let go of the identities of, good or bad, or really having to feel like I'm starting at the bottom or being at the top, but just really just seeing everything as just frequencies, and really just energy and frequencies. And that knowing that, yeah, even if I do quote unquote fall, as we say, and I go into a very low state of myself, there is always the opportunity to be able to ascend from that space vibrationally. And I've also been letting go of and this is one thing that I've been really talking to people about, is letting go of timetables, letting go of expectations, so to say. So instead of thinking like, in order for this to happen, it has to take this amount of months, or in order for me to heal this, it's going to take this many years, or in order for me to be able to complete this or to be able to get this done, it's going to take me so long, or it's going to take a long time to be able to get there. Just really kind of letting go of that within my own self, my own perception, and kind of just tuning into what is and just being present with it, and not trying to cast a forecast, not trying to put a timeline on everything, as in, literally within one single day, there are so many things that can quantumly happen that can completely change the makeup of who we are within that one day. Just think about how powerful a moment is. And then if we start living by moments instead of by days, or by months or years. And what I find is, this is where we can access more of quantum healing and more of quantum living. And we accelerate the light speed of our energy field, our mind, our emotions, our body. Because we're no longer being it's going to take all of these third dimensional increments in order to get here and to get there, and in order to recalibrate and just reattune my quantum being. No, it's just okay, this is what's happening. Now I'm doing these solutions, and these solutions I have faith in, because I have faith in who I am and my connection to all. And now that I'm doing the actions, and I know I'm doing the actions, I can just mentally let go of outcomes and expectations, because I know I'm doing the actions that are required for this to happen. So now it's in the process of happening. And now that I've released and let go, I'm showing my faith and demonstrating it through my embodiment, that I have faith and trust that it's happening. So now I'm going to allow it to happen. And this is just an example of how we can access, I don't know, what you want, if you want to call like the miracle flow. The miracle flow, where we just allow ourselves to flow with unknown miracle energy instead of timetables and limitations. That's where I've been. And wow, it has been, it's been an adventure and it's been fun. And I'm having fun sharing it with others too, because seeing their perceptions, their paradigms when I share it, they're just like, oh, okay.
When they have that,
I love it.
when they have that aha moment.
It's like a relief too.
Yeah. We've all come to shift, and I have echoes, so you have to forgive me. We've all come to shift, and we've come to expand, and we've come to grow, and then evolve, and then we go back to one. We do it again. That's called life. And if you really want to know what's going on with you, you can always sit at the seat of your higher being and ask an embodying question to your higher being about, well, what did you come here to? Did we get all the points that you came here to do? Did we miss anything? And be open to hear your higher being say, oh yeah, we got that one. Why, you can move away from that one. And you can go, oh, I didn't have to feel bad that long. Oh, no. You didn't have to. Go ahead, surrender that. We don't need that anymore. And have a relationship with your higher you. It's okay to have a relationship with your higher you. It's okay to have a like or a dislike. How do you know what you want next? If you really like something, then you get to give that picture, that embodiment to the universe, and the universe gets to go, ooh, Sandee wants more of that. She really liked that. Or, ooh, she doesn't like that. She doesn't want that. She's moving on to something else. She's focused over here now. You get to decide. Maybe at one time your higher being wanted you to be a gigolo or to be a mistress with a lot of guys. Maybe it wanted to find out about many relationships, and you were there. Sit at the seat of your soul and say, are we done? Give your higher being a chance to say, yeah, I don't need to be that anymore. And you get to have that conversation with your higher being and saying, okay, I'm done with that. I think I want a one-on-one relationship. And your higher being can say, oh, show me what that looks like. Show me what that feels like. You get to ask your higher being so that you don't have to judge yourself. You don't have to put yourself in judgment. You can put yourself in discernment. That's all Ra is talking about. That's why Ra says, I am Ra. That's why Ra will ask the questioner to reframe the question so it doesn't usurp your free will or your story of what you're doing. Or of what you want to do, or of what you don't want to do, what you want to feel, what you don't want to feel. Because the divine says, if you're holding on to things that you don't want to feel, you're bottling them up, go ahead. That's a choice too. But the vibrational choices of that are going to reflect what you're doing. So if you're concentrating on keeping those packed away and concentrating on things not bumping up against them, then guess what? The universe says, oh, we got to make more things bump up against it. Why? Because the energy is there. I hold my ear because that's what the universe is doing, is listening to vibration.
Yeah, it's attracting.
So it's about you sitting at the seat of you. And you go, Sandra, you say that so much. How do I do that? Well, sometimes if your ego doesn't give you a moment in being quiet, sometimes you got to sit and tell your ego, sit down, shut up, because I want a moment. And every time the ego jumps in front to take that moment away from you, you got to take it back. Because your ego is going to tell you, oh, you really think you can meditate? It'll give you 5 minutes of it and then it'll jump in there. But if you take it back every 5 minutes, then your ego starts to learn that it's got to merge with that created it. Oh, yeah. It thinks it's separate from the divine, but you get to train it that it's not. It's part of wholeness. That's all Ra is saying. You're part of wholeness. Service to self is still part of wholeness. You just don't see it. Your ego is telling you that you're separate. Service to all is service to wholeness, which you are a part of. So therefore, you never have to be afraid of being separate to be a part of the wholeness of service to other selves, other yous that are, blows your mind, other yous that are authentic to the service of the one true all that is. Now, do you want to go have fun and play? Go play. Marcus says, he said, when you lean into another person and touch your, like kids do, they'll touch your head and they'll connect with their third eye. They're connecting with energy that's there. Intuitive energy, they're connecting with you. They're connecting with you, the first eye, and the crown to the divine. Kids do it all the time. They have no problem doing that. They'll hug each other and watch when they hug each other. They automatically go in for that. We can do it. We're so busy not wanting to shake hands anymore. Why don't we just grab each other and have a third or fourth eye hug? Oh, I know. Because then our nose and our mouth is facing each other. Oh, and we've got to fear that. Well, then the universe is going to bring something in that opens the door through that fear. I'm just saying. Somebody was thinking it just now. Just saying. We're social creatures. We were meant to be that way. Why? Because we were meant to have a story that connects us. Our higher beings sat in the vibrational virtual playground and said, I'm going to play with you. Said, oh, Sandra, when it's time, I'm going to play with you so that you can collaborate and play with Marcus when it's time. Matter of fact, we're going to start generations behind, making Marcus, doing things so that Marcus can be part of your story and you can be part of Marcus's story so that you can play. We're on this playground together. I wish I could talk forever, but I do have to go. I think we've done, wow, we've done almost
on 2 hours.
2 hours. As usual, as normal.
Uh-oh. Phone call. The divine's ringing. I guess it's that time.
It's that time.
And my laptop's about to die. It's like everything's just like, all right, it's time to close, guys.
Time to close. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. With great responsibility comes with your great power, but you're only responsible to you, right?
That's right.
You're responsible to you, for you, through you. You're responsible to you, for you, through you. And the divine is moving within and as you. So you're not alone in it. Take what resonates. And then go be a creator and create something that's magnificent for your highest and greatest good and for those that you
and then go astral project out of your body.
Right. Yes. Play, play, play. All right, peeps. I gotta go. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being part of this this wonderful experience.
Yes, and thank you to all of you guys that have tapped in on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Love you guys all. Greatly appreciate all your support, all of your efforts, all that you exchange with us. And we will be back on
Oh, yes.
Wednesday. I forgot today was.
Today is Sunday all day today. We will be back Wednesday, 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for more ascending beyond limitations.
That's right.
Let's make the unknown known. Join us then.
Wholeness and balanced love.
Peace.